Hello everybody, it's Lucy Wolfe here, sleep consultant and author of The Baby Sleep Solution. I've had a couple of messages from people who are interested to know about how do we transition easily to daycare when we are going back to work. And look, the reality is a lot of us will be going back to work and our children will have to be in some sort of daycare. And I work with lots of families and we are trying to sort out the sleeping challenges that we experience at home, and then we're trying to allow those improvements to be transitioned into the creche environment. Now, if you're going to watch this segment on my Instagram, please watch the full segment on my IGTV or my Facebook page so that you see everything that I want you to know. When we're experiencing sleep challenges and your child is over 6 months of age, or you've been experiencing sleep challenges and under that age range and you know you're going back to work and your baby's going to be 6 months plus at that stage, I kind of feel there's two times where you really need to try and sort out whatever you're experiencing before you go back to work and if there's a new baby on the way. And I think that they're the two main times where I feel that it is not a good idea to just keep waiting to see is it going to get better. It is much easier to resolve your sleep challenges before you return to work, because then we can keep things home-based for as long as possible, and then we just transition it to daycare. So you hand over to your creche what I call a finished article, a robust sleeper, and then all your child needs to do then is learn to sleep in a new environment. They don't have to just learn to sleep. And that's what happens an awful lot of the time. Now, if you've already returned to work and you have sleep challenges, or one of the challenges that you experience is that your child just won't sleep in the creche, just try and examine some of the reasons behind that. In a lot of instances, when there's a huge nap resistance, short naps, finding it difficult to go to sleep in the creche, it's actually because your child's not that independent at home, and that maybe you use bottles, holding, feeding, rocking, rolling to get your child to nap and to go to sleep at bedtime. And as a result of that, it's that is the barrier to the daytime sleep in the creche. So I suppose for all intents and purposes, the majority of children, not all, but the majority of children actually need to learn how to sleep at home in order to be able to sleep well and good in the creche. Now again, of course there are exceptions to this, and some of you will report that your children sleep better in the creche than they do for you at home. But again, generally, it's we need the skill set at the bedtime in order for it to be appropriate in the daytime. So I suppose even if you've returned to work and you don't have the ability to get this sorted out before you go back to work, you can still start to work on it. And again, you'd start maybe on a weekend where you can start on a Friday making changes. So the changes that normally need to happen are your child needs to become less dependent at bedtime. So even if at the moment you feed your child to sleep or you rock them to sleep and they sleep all night, or they're doing a relatively good night, but they now struggle to sleep in the creche, it's typically necessary to make an adjustment at bedtime so that the skill set can emerge during the day. I hope that makes sense. So again, whenever you're making any changes, any transitions, then I always get you to use my stay and support approach. We always start at bedtime making those changes, making sure the feeds are separate to sleep, and that whatever you need to change, you support your baby with my approach. And then whatever you're doing in the overnight period, you follow through, and then you help your baby to sleep well at home in the cot. And you begin normally, if you start on a Friday evening, we start with the Saturday and the Sunday, and it's all about timing, getting your bedtime routine synced into the nap time routine, so you're always preparing your baby to sleep. And I'm going to post on nap issues later in the next couple of days anyway, so that you can link this article in with that. And then once you have, let's say you've done Saturday and Sunday at home, it won't be fixed, but you have some of the heavy lifting done. And then we look for your child carers, your daycare, your creche staff to start to do the same sort of thing that maybe you've been doing on the same sort of timing that you've been doing. And again, although that will maybe be at odds with their timing, you do want their positive input, especially at the beginning, because they have your child maybe for as much as 5 days a week. So again, you will look for that. Now, it takes 3 to 4 weeks for even a routinely talented sleeper to learn to sleep well in the creche. And of course, we have the extra complications that there's a big emotional overload where your child is going to just genuinely miss you. There is the skill of having to learn in a communal environment, sleep with this in the space of other people. It's generally noisier than what it might be at home. They have other people, and maybe not the same person every time, putting them to sleep. So again, it takes time. And then we have the other situation where generally when we start in the creche, you'll know that your child generally gets a cough or a cold, so sickness also comes into play. And then we have the other force factors like teething, etc. So I suppose it is trying your best to establish the positive sleep practices in your home, and then allowing them to be transferred to the creche. And it is highly likely in a lot of your cases that your baby will never sleep as well in the creche that they do at home. But again, once they are able to catch up and even the balance out on the days that you don't work, then I generally find that that's okay. But that would be my general mindset. I'm going to post the article on this on my website. It's called Helping Your Child Transition to the Creche, and you can read more about it in my book, The Baby Sleep Solution, and I look forward to seeing you here again soon.